Good morning, everybody. Welcome to day one of the 4-day gut health challenge. So today we're going to be focusing on the mouth, or sometimes referred to as the oral cavity if you're looking at a textbook and a diagram of the digestive system. So while digestion in the mouth is really just the beginning of the overall digestive process, it does really set the stage for optimal digestion and nutrient absorption in the gut. So taking the time to do the three things that I'm about to suggest will positively contribute to, overall gut health and digestion. So what are the three tips? The first one is that you really need to spend time preparing yourself or your body for food. So this is one of the biggest things, one of the biggest problems in today's society. I guess everything is happening very quickly. We're trying to do multiple things at once, and we're not really preparing our body for the intake of food and digestion. So the two major things that we can do that are pretty easy to do in order to prepare our body for food is to smell the food before eating. Which sounds a bit strange maybe, but the reason for this is that the smell of food stimulates the production of salivary enzymes. So when you smell your food, your brain starts to send signals to your salivary glands to start producing more saliva, which, hopefully you're aware, saliva contains lots of enzymes like amylase and lipase that help to break down carbohydrates and fats in the mouth before they get to the larger parts of the digestive system that have lots more digestive juices. But digestion begins in the mouth, and we really need to, cooking food means that we are smelling food anyway, right? As the food cooks, the house fills up with the smells of the cooking food. So that's the best way to do it. But even if you're not cooking your food, it's still good to kind of sit and let those smells hit your nose so that the saliva can kind of be produced, more saliva can be produced in the mouth. And the second part of that preparation for food is to make sure that you're in a relaxed state. So again, everybody's in a rush, everybody's doing multiple things at once, and really we need to make sure that the body is in a state of what we call rest and digest rather than fight or flight, right? So this is a state where the heart rate decreases, blood pressure decreases, and digestion is promoted. And this part of the nervous system is called the parasympathetic nervous system. And this branch of the nervous system, when we're in this kind of more relaxed and rested state, stimulates the production of these digestive enzymes that I just mentioned. It increases blood flow to the digestive organs, and all of these things can help to break down food and absorb nutrients more efficiently. So they're my kind of top tips for preparation or preparing your body for food. Now, the second major tip here for digestion in the mouth is to avoid certain things. So the first one is to avoid dry foods. Okay, so dry foods, as you can imagine, can be quite difficult to digest, and they may not stimulate the release of these salivary enzymes that I just mentioned. So you want to stay away from those drier types of foods and move towards the wetter types of foods, things like soups, casseroles, things like that. And this is particularly relevant if you know that you have digestive symptoms, if you can feel that, digestion is really, your digestion is kind of struggling, and, maybe you're constipated or you've got other digestive symptoms, then definitely try and avoid drier type foods. And the other part of this avoidance tip is to avoid consuming large amounts of liquids during meals. So obviously, everybody knows that we should be drinking a lot of water during the day to stay hydrated, but you shouldn't drink water, at least, large amounts of water during meals. And the reason for this is that consuming liquid during meals can dilute those digestive juices that I just mentioned, those salivary enzymes in the mouth. And that makes it more difficult to break down food, at least at that stage. Okay, so avoid consuming large amounts of liquid during meals. So that's the second tip. And the third tip is to practice mindful eating. So what does that mean? I mean, I think everybody knows what mindfulness is these days. It's often linked to meditation, but isn't necessarily always part of meditation, right? You can be mindful without meditating. So being mindful just means that you are kind of focusing on that one task, and you're really, thinking only about that and focusing on your eating and the flavor of the food and all of that kind of thing. Okay, so part of that mindful eating practice is taking your time while eating. So as I mentioned before, most people are eating too quickly. They're eating while doing other things. And that can really make it difficult for your digestive system to keep up with the pace of food intake. So you really need to take your time while you're eating, try to kind of savor every bite, and really try and just focus on that one task rather than doing multiple things at once. And the other part of mindful eating for me is chewing food thoroughly. Okay, so I mean, I think it's fairly obvious that chewing is a really important part of the digestive process, because it does help to break down food into smaller particles that can then be easily digested, and then nutrients can be more easily absorbed by the body. But it's surprising how many people are not chewing their food effectively, again, because we're in a rush, we're doing multiple things at once. So, if you think about chewing, it's not only the mechanical action of your teeth breaking down the food physically into smaller pieces, but it's also this concept of mixing it in with saliva. Okay, so it is the mechanical breakdown, but it's also this chemical breakdown that starts to happen in the mouth. So, you really want to be chewing and mixing that food with saliva so that the enzymes can really get in there and start digesting that food. So my top tips and, I guess instructions on what to do for improving digestion in the mouth and therefore overall gut health. One would be to, in a perfect world, you would always cook your food and take in the smells. But on the occasion that you cannot cook your food, at least sit and kind of smell as much as you can, smell the food, take in those smells so that your salivary enzymes start to be produced. Second thing is you want to be in a relaxed state. So I would suggest, what I do personally is to sit down, do some alternate nostril breathing or some other form of breathing that relaxes you. So I would do this for kind of 30 to 60 seconds before you start eating, so that your body is much more relaxed before you start chewing. The third thing would be to eat wetter types of food, so things like soup, stew, smoothies, casseroles, curries, anything that has a lot of moisture, right, instead of these drier types of foods. The fourth one would be do not drink while eating. You can drink well before and well after, but don't drink a lot of water or anything really while you're eating. The fifth thing would be to take your time. And when I say take your time, I mean kind of in the 15 to 20 minute realm. It should take you that long each meal. So, take your time, savor the food, savor the flavors, put your knife and fork down in between bites. Don't rush through it. And the last one is to chew your food thoroughly. And by that, I mean chew each mouthful at least kind of 20 to 30 times. So that's it for today. I'll see you for day 2 tomorrow.